Welcome to another episode of the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. Today is Friday, September 16th, 2022. I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey, as always. How you doing today?
I'm fine. Ready to go. Very excited about the weekend.
Yeah. All right, so let's begin with our first topic. We're going to talk about the Chiefs and Chargers game. And I watched this in its entirety. And I was very disappointed with a lot of what I saw, at least from the Chargers side. The Chargers were pretty bad. Well, I should say bad, but Justin Herbert over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, which ended up costing him the game. Patrick Mahomes did not have that spectacular of a game. 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. So it was really just a back and forth game. I thought it would be much more of a shootout than it actually was. Chargers down Keenan Allen. So the Chargers did not have that number one threat. It was all up to Mike Williams, who performed better than I thought. But what was your reaction to the game last night?
I picked the Chiefs, and they won. And I'm not surprised. They were playing at home, and I think that particularly in Arrowhead Stadium, home field advantage is significant. The crowd is really a factor in that stadium, and for that team, they're really they support the Chiefs 100%, and I'd say 99% of the fans there were Chiefs fans. I thought that the Chiefs, they didn't make many mistakes, right? They played on offense. Mahomes played well. He had an interception? Was it near the end of the game? Was it? I can't remember.
I'm not sure what point, but yeah, he did have an interception.
Yeah, and the defense played pretty well considering they were going up against a pretty high-powered offense. But again, they didn't have Keenan Allen,
right?
And that's a factor for sure because that guy's great. That Williams guy is good. He's big. He can catch the ball. He gets open. I thought he played well. And Justin Herbert, he made that mistake. 99-yard touchdown, interception. So that cost him the game. And, they really weren't in the game. They were ahead, and then they fell behind. So the defense kind of let them down, too. And the score that they got to make it within a field goal was with a minute left. And the onside kick, there was a chance there. The first guy didn't get the ball. It was out there for grabs for a second, but the Chiefs fell on it, and that was the game.
Right. Well, I'm going to say this right now about the Chargers-Chiefs game. I'll say this. Asante Samuel is taking after his dad with how many missed interceptions he had. Asante Samuel Jr. had about 3. I think I counted 3 opportunities, and I was solidified that on Twitter when I made a tweet about how I was counting Asante Samuel's missed interceptions or calls that got or interceptions that got called back due to a penalty, and I counted 3. And I think in total, if I counted correctly, there were 5 missed interceptions entirely from the Chargers side. There was one by Kyle Van Noy. I think there might have been one that was from defensive back or maybe a linebacker, I'm not sure of, and then 3 by Asante Samuel. So if they just caught one of those interceptions, we would be talking about an entirely different game. Justin Herbert, yeah, you say that Arrowhead Stadium is the home place of the Chiefs, and they play really well there. Justin Herbert right before the game was 2-0 with a 70% completion percentage in Arrowhead. So it really, Justin Herbert was pretty dominant in the Chiefs' home stadium, and he should have been 3-0. It's really that simple. He should have been 3-0. If the defense could catch one of those interceptions, we'd be talking about an entirely different game. There was an interception that got called back because the ball hit the ground. On a lot of the angles that I saw, yes, the ball hit the ground, but it seemed that, I don't know who it was. It might have been Asante Samuel, but I believe he had his hand underneath the ball as the ball was going down. The ball could touch the ground as long as you have control over it. And as soon as he caught it, brought it in, it looked like he had full control of the football. So that got called back. That should have been an interception in my mind, but it was called an incomplete pass, so I have to live with it. But Patrick Mahomes, though, the one issue I have with Patrick Mahomes is that it's just super sloppy. He doesn't have a lot of control a lot of the time when he gets pressured. Instead of taking the sack, he really just tries to air it out, and that really worked when he had Tyreek Hill, but he doesn't have Tyreek Hill anymore. And Travis Kelce, I think, caught 5 passes for like 50 yards. He didn't really have much of an impact at all. There was a touchdown by former Buccaneer Justin Watson, and then there was another Watson that I believe that scored the 99-yard touchdown. Really, this game should have been very different. The Chiefs should have won this game, but they didn't. It really, as long as they catch 1 or 2 of those interceptions, Patrick Mahomes could have 5 interceptions by the end of this game, and we'd be talking about how poorly Patrick Mahomes played. He put up 235 yards. I'm not expecting him to go out and put up 400 yards, 375 yards each game, especially without with the loss of Tyreek Hill. So I'm all that deep bomb stuff, the 65-yard, 75-yard touchdowns, that ain't gonna happen anymore with these Chiefs. They're gonna focus a lot on dinking and dunking, throwing to the running back, going through your progressions of 1, 2, and then just checking it down to the running back. We saw that a lot, and we've seen that so far throughout the season. First 2 games in for the Chiefs, it's not those deep, super long passes. He tries them every now and then. There's one that's successful. There's one that's not. But what I want to commend really with the Chiefs, or I'm sorry, I want to commend the Chargers here. Justin Herbert came out. He has, I believe, it's a fractured cartilage on his rib. So he was fighting through that. He was wincing in pain. He came out for only 1 down after being drilled in the rib cage. He converted 2 fourth downs in order to score. There was one like 35-yard, 40-yard pass to set them up for that the last touchdown of the game for the Chargers. I commend Justin Herbert. This is what we see from the Chargers. This is a very Chargers-like loss. A lot of one-score games, a lot of just disappointments. I'm not surprised at all by it. I thought Justin Herbert might pull it out. The defense, I think, really cost them this game. They got a lot of pressure in the first half. Actually, through the first 3 quarters, they got a lot of pressure. But Mahomes clawed his way back. Didn't really put in a spectacular performance. Kind of did what he had to do. But yeah, if the defense just caught 1 of those interceptions, we'd be talking about an entirely different game, because the Chargers could have won by 14, 21 points. But it's really sad when you see a team like this with so much talent be wasted because of one mistake, and the one mistake was due to the fact that he was just gassed. He called to get a replacement, but the Chargers were playing tempo offense in order for the Chiefs not to be able to substitute players, and it was a miscommunication, but it was a screw over by the coaching staff on the sideline, and it was just miscommunication between Justin Herbert and between, I believe his name is Everett. I'm not sure of his first name though. It was just a miscommunication between those two, and kind of a sell by the coaching staff not allowing a switch, because he was gassed, and then Everett didn't know whether or not to go on the outside or to cut inside. Justin Herbert threw it inside, and it was picked for a 99-yard pick six. So it's truly a disappointment, but it's it's what you have to do. It's a part of the game. The Chiefs are starting off 2-0. Mahomes close to 700 yards in 2 games, 7 touchdowns. It's impressive, but you know what? I think if the defense catches 1 of those interceptions, not even catch all 5, if you just catch 1 interception, we'd be talking about an entirely different game.
Well, the Chargers had greater time of possession, 38 to 33. And they had more yards, 401 to 318. Hilaire had a good game rushing. Yeah. He had 75 yards. So, the Chargers played well, but they made too many mistakes.
I think it was a lot it was just a sell by the Chargers defense. I think they played great throughout 3.5, 4 quarters. Yeah, 3.5 quarters. And then they just couldn't catch a ball. That's all it was. Asante Samuel, 3 dropped interceptions. Kyle Van Noy, he's a linebacker, doesn't have the greatest hands, but he said he was this close to catching it. Who knows? It was a catchable ball, and I believe there was another interception drop. So I count between 4 and 5 missed interceptions. But Patrick Mahomes, careless with the football, won't take a sack. Instead, he'll just try to make a play out of it. And he
did make a nice play there when he ran over to the sideline.
Yeah, no, the first touchdown.
Touchdown.
Well, I mean, he used to play baseball, so that's his baseball side, be able to do that. But he's at times careless with the football. He won't take a sack. He'll try to make a play. And when he had Tyreek Hill, he was able to do that. But he doesn't have Tyreek Hill now. And Juju Smith-Schuster, He played okay, nothing great. Sky Moore, he's a rookie. I'm sure, the Chiefs will try to do something with him. But it was just a disappointment on all fronts from the Chargers at the end of the game. But, I commend Justin Herbert for staying in there. He has a rib injury right now. We'll see how his status changes or stays the same for week 3. He has a long break until week 3. So, I mean, I'm not entirely happy with the way it ended. I was able to cover the spread because I said the Chargers would win outright. 3.5 spread I was able to cover. So, in that aspect, I guess it's a positive for me. So, I guess that's it.
I got the win, but not the spread.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our next topic. We're going to talk a little bit about Tom Brady. Tom Brady, 23rd season, 45 years old. A lot has been happening, especially in this offseason, because back February 1st, Tom Brady announced his retirement, which I believe was the same day as his favorite Super Bowl win, Super Bowl 49 against the Seahawks. He said that was his favorite Super Bowl win, and he retired on the same day. And then 40 days later, announced that he's unretiring from the NFL because it is, he still feels the passion and love for football, the passion to compete. And so he unretired. But as the offseason went on, middle of August, he took that 11-day hiatus. People were questioning what was going on around his household. Is everything okay? And he said there's a lot of that's going on in his life. He's 45 years old. He's dealing with a lot of stuff. But then, we have different reports coming out that potentially, him and Giselle are at a rough patch right now. And supposedly there's a report out saying that Tom Brady decided by himself to unretire from the NFL. And we all know, you take a look, even not even in relationships, when you're married with someone else, just throughout the NFL. With Aaron Rodgers, the Packers didn't even tell Aaron Rodgers that they're drafting Jordan Love, and that caused a rift. Atlanta with Matt Ryan. Atlanta didn't tell Matt Ryan, or I guess Matt Ryan was shocked that they were going to choose Deshaun Watson or push for Deshaun Watson. That caused a rift. Baker Mayfield got disrespected by the Browns when they went out to get Deshaun Watson without telling him. All this, when you're not outward and honest, it's the decisions on your own, not talking it out, it causes a rift. And People Magazine, there's an anonymous source that People Magazine got a hold of, and basically this anonymous source said this about Giselle and Brady's retirement. She's a very pros versus cons person, and she sees very few pros in him playing anymore. She's told him that he's the GOAT, and he has absolutely nothing left to prove. He could be going out on top, and playing until the wheels fall off doesn't seem to be the way to go out on top. So I ask you, Dad, is Brady's time finally over? Is this the last season we'll see Tom Brady? Because the report goes along, there's another report coming out that if Brady does not retire by the end of this year, he will not be married next year.
Yeah.
So is this Brady's time to retire?
Well, I guess if it's causing a rift in his marriage and he values his marriage, then he'll probably call it quits the end of the season, I guess. I mean, I don't know what's going on in his personal life. It's none of my business. But he's 1-0 right now. He looked good. He chewed up the Cowboys, and they should be a pretty good team. They got a decent defense. He played well against them. I think he'll win against the Saints this weekend, even though he hasn't yet. But he's going to be really motivated this game because he's 0-4 against them since he's been a Buck. So I think he still has the fire to play football. And I don't know. I think that if there's a problem right now between him and his wife, then I'm not sure it will be cured by him quitting football. I don't know if that's there may be other things that are an issue. I have no idea, and it's none of my business. But I'm not sure he's going to quit and stop playing football. I mean, some people think that Sports Illustrated thinks he will play next year, but not for the Bucs. He'll play for somebody else. Yeah,
that's interesting. The way I take a look at this, right, is that nothing else in life could basically keep up with the intensity that football brings, and that's a lot what Tom Brady loves. Tom Brady actually enjoys sitting down, watching film, dissecting the game, and being ready for game day. But he's recently said that he woke up after the Cowboys game and says, "Damn, I got bruises all over. Do I still want to make this commitment?" If we're talking about strictly, without taking any personal aspect into it, if we're talking strictly, the ability to play football, Tom Brady could play until he gets hurt. Because, you know what? He's kept himself, so healthy body-wise that he's just kept himself able to keep on playing. And he could probably still play 5 years. He could, it really depends on 5 years, yeah.
I'm not so sure about 5 years.
Well, I mean, if we're talking strictly about just the ability to play football, because Brady plays a different kind of football than anyone else in the NFL, because he plays a more mental game than physical game. That's why, mobile quarterbacks don't last long in the league.
He's not as mobile as some. He's mobile enough. He's proven that, but he's not as mobile as a lot of quarterbacks. And the trend is toward the more mobile quarterback. His offensive line a little beat up right now.
It is.
Right? So He could be taking some big hits here in the next few games. We'll see. But I don't think he's going to quit in the middle of the season.
No, I don't think he's going to quit in the middle, but I think you know what? You're right. It's not our business to get into his business, but this has become sort of a national story because it affects more than one person, and it affects at the time when Brady and Giselle got married, she was worth $300 million, and Brady wasn't. Brady was, I don't know how many years in the NFL. Was it 6 years? 2005 did they get married? I don't know when they got married, but she was worth $300 million. Brady wasn't. Brady right now is barely worth a little bit over $300 million. She was a supermodel. She came from, I think, Brazil, so she doesn't really care about football. She didn't grow up watching football. Football isn't really, her thing. Brady, ever since he was, what I want to say, like 7, 8 years old, was getting to football, He was denied in college, didn't start until his fifth year senior. He had a miraculous comeback. Doubted in the NFL, drafted pick 199. So he's had this motivation constantly throughout his career. And even now, people are still doubting him because, people look at his age and say, oh, he's too old to play football. Tom Brady, why don't you just retire already, get out of football? And it's just...
You don't hear much of that.
You still do. Still do.
Who is saying he's too old?
A lot of people are still saying he's too old.
Well, he's proven that it doesn't matter.
No, exactly, but people still say that.
One of the best years of his career last year. He threw for over 5,000 yards. He should have been the MVP of the league.
Right.
At 44 years old. So his age is not a factor.
I understand that, but people still doubt him.
Yeah, well...
And that's the thing. That's the motivation that he needs. That's the motivation that he keeps driving himself.
He is a very competitive guy, and he has been, has been doubted in the past, and he's proved his doubters wrong, and that's what he continues to do.
I think, right? You think...
I've got his shirt on to prove it. Look at that. Super Bowl right on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in reality, yes, Brady could still continue to play, but I think if we're talking about next year, I think he does end up retiring. I think I said previously that I think Brady will play another 2 years to make it to, I think, 48 to be the oldest player to ever play in the NFL. I don't think that's the case anymore because of the fact that Brady cares so much about family, and that's why I took the 11-day hiatus. I don't think he'll be able to balance the two of them as evenly as probably Giselle would like. So I think family will finally beat out football in his life because it seems like it already has, because he understands that his kids are growing up.
He's playing.
I understand that, but he retired and he left training camp for 11.
He came back.
Yes, but at this point,
actually speak louder than words. He's playing football.
Right, but you hear Giselle saying, yeah, you know what, or not Giselle directly saying, but reports coming out that Giselle will divorce him if he continues to play, and I think Brady cares too much about family to let that big of a change in his life actually come into fruition. So that's what I think.
At the end of the season, he won't. I don't think he'll play for the Bucs next year. Okay?
I don't think he's playing. Period.
Okay, I think he'll look around, see what's available before he makes a decision about leaving football.
If yes, I agree with you. If there's a team that has a lot of talent, he'll definitely be looking. But I think regardless of looking around or anything, I think he'll call it quits just because family's more important.
I think one thing he might consider doing, I think he might like to come back into the AFC East, play against Bill Belichick 2 times a year.
The AFC is significantly harder, though, and I think that's why he did come back a lot of ways, because he looked at the NFC and says, okay, who do I have to go through? An inconsistent Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, who doesn't have any weapons anymore, Kirk Cousins is on the up right now, but he's getting up there in age, Kyler Murray, who's super inconsistent. The NFC is super easy. My division's a rebuilding division.
Yeah.
So I think that's in large part why he came back.
Yeah.
But if I had to make a prediction, I say Brady's done by the end of the year, regardless. If he wins a Super Bowl, if he loses at any point, I don't think he'll miss the playoffs just because the NFC. He's missed the playoffs once in his career back in 2002. But every full season besides 2002, he's made the playoffs. So I just think I see Brady done by the end of the year, regardless of what happens.
Okay, well, we'll see.
We're going to make a quick stint into the NBA because we talked about Donovan Mitchell before. We talked about, the Knicks potentially acquiring him. Then they came out that the Cavs are actually going to acquire him for 3 players, 3 picks, and 2 pick swaps. But Donovan Mitchell went on Woj's podcast to talk about the trade, basically, and he talked about a lot about how he's excited to be a part of the Cavs. That PR stint that every player does when they get to a new team. Oh, I'm happy to be on this team. Blah 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 blah. But he talked about how he fully expected to come to the Knicks, and he was genuinely shocked when he was told that he was going to the Cavs. This is a quote straight from Donovan Mitchell on the podcast. Honestly, I had no idea. My agent called me on a Wednesday and said, "You're going to Cleveland." Like I said, my reaction was what it was. All summer, I didn't really say much. I kind of just let you guys do what you do, to be honest. I thought for sure I was going back home. Not going to lie about that. But when I found out where I was headed, who I was playing with, the group, the team, the coaching staff, I couldn't be more happier to be here, to be a part of this organization, to be a part of this group, to join these phenomenal guys to add to it. That, for me, is what I'm truly excited about.
Yeah, I think somebody wrote that for him.
Well, what actually came out, and we don't know if this is the final offer. By the way, Charles Barkley was able to get this quote from, I believe this is a Knicks executive, saying that the Jazz wanted my wife, kids, grandkids, all that. They were just trying to rip somebody off. Charles Barkley got that inside quote because he asked the executive, "Hey, what was going on? Why'd you guys complete the offer with the Jazz?" There were reports coming out about a bunch of different offers that the Knicks were engaged with the Jazz. One of the final offers, we don't know what the actual final offer was, but one of the final offers was, I believe his name is Quentin Grimes. I'm not sure if I got his first name right, but it was Grimes and R.J. Barrett and 3 first-round picks. We don't know about the protection, non-protection of it, but it was 3 first-round picks, R.J. Barrett and Grimes for Donovan Mitchell. So if we take a look at the other thing, if we take a look at the actual trade that happened between the Cavs and the Jazz, it was 5 picks, 2 pick swaps, and 3. I think it was 3 first-round picks. I don't think there was any protection on it. There was and also 3 players, 1 rookie, 1 sort of travel guy who was an average, and then we had I believe his name was Colin Sexton, who was a pretty good player. He averaged, I think, 18 points. But I guess the Knicks could not put together the package that the Jazz wanted. I think Danny Ainge was trying to rip the Knicks off.
Give up R.J. Barrett.
Well, it was a part. That was a part of one of their last trade packages was to add R.J. Barrett, but they couldn't add Evan Fournier or Obi Toppin into that trade package, which I think, if you take a look at the offers, you had the Knicks giving, one of the offers was Obi Toppin, Fournier, and I'm forgetting the last person. No, I think it was just those 2 actually, and then 5 first-round picks. So that was a great trade offer, but I think you just need to swap out maybe one of those players for R.J. Barrett, and I think that would have gone through.
Yeah, well, I don't think the Knicks want to do that.
According to Donovan Mitchell, because obviously Donovan Mitchell knows what's up, the Cavaliers were looking more towards draft picks than they were players, which then makes it go off in my mind like, okay, they offered you 2 players and 5 first-round picks,
yeah,
and yet you accepted 3 players.
Well, didn't the Cavs make the playoffs last year?
They were in the playing game and I think lost to the Timberwolves.
Okay, so they're a better team than the
Knicks. No, it wouldn't make sense to lose the Timberwolves. Who did they lose? I think they lost.
But they are not a bad team.
No, they're not a bad team.
The picks may not be there. Now they have Donovan Mitchell and strengthened their team. The picks may be down the line a ways. And, once you get beyond 12, 13, 14, 15 in the NBA, the players are not that great.
Usually. There are some.
Having those number 1 picks may not be that valuable.
Could be, but
they'd probably be more valuable with the Knicks.
Probably the Knicks had more draft picks, which makes it seem like what was going on. But why couldn't the deal get done? They offered 5 first-round picks. You accepted 3 first-rounders and 2 pick swaps, so you essentially got 5 picks. You actually gave up 2 though because you're swapping it. So you would have gotten two players who I think Obi Toppin is. If Obi Toppin plays, he usually plays pretty well for the Knicks. And you got an Evan Fournier who is a developed and pretty consistent 3-point shooter for Donovan Mitchell. The only problem with the way Donovan Mitchell would have been traded to is that Donovan Mitchell doesn't need to be the guy on the Cavs. The Cavs have, they have Garland. They got who's the center? Jared Allen. They have players that can play very well. I mean, they almost made the playoffs last year. So if Donovan Mitchell went to the Knicks, every single person on the Knicks, fans, players, coaches, would put all of that on to him to be the savior, like they did with Carmelo Anthony after that team just got blown up, thanks to Phil Jackson, who was a horrible president. Yeah. We've talked about that before. But I mean, I don't know why a deal couldn't get done with this. I mean, it seems like the Knicks
are unlucky.
The Knicks are incredibly unlucky.
Incredibly unlucky. So it is what it is.
Do you think the Knicks offered enough, too little? What do you think?
I think their package was better than the Cavs.
That's what I thought too. That's what I thought.
The picks, because the Knicks probably won't be a playoff team. They might even be in the lottery. So I think they offered a great package, and they're probably not going to do that great. So. Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We're going to take our first break of the Harvey Hour. We will be back in 2 minutes.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify.
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe,
interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
Podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.
You have a lot to say. Maybe you've thought, I should start a podcast. Meet Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast ever. It's a powerful mobile app and web tool that lets you record a podcast anywhere and distribute it everywhere. It's great whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out. And it's 100% free. You can record your show straight into Anchor on your phone, iPad, or the web, using any mic you want. Record alone or with friends or co-hosts anywhere in the world. You can add background music and transitions, and your listeners can send you voice messages that you can incorporate right into your next episode. If you want to produce your show using another app, you can upload your own audio directly from web or mobile, and still take advantage of Anchor's totally free podcast hosting. Once your podcast is ready to publish, Anchor can automatically distribute it to every major podcast platform. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, so your listeners can hear your show wherever they want. And on the web, you can see detailed analytics about how people are listening. Plus, you'll get a great-looking profile page where anyone can listen to your podcast or subscribe to it. And if you want to ask your audience to support your work, Anchor makes it easy to collect monthly payments from the people who love your podcast and want to see it grow. You really don't need a recording studio, expensive equipment, or a bunch of technical knowledge to deal with a podcast feed. Just get started and join the diverse community of podcasters already on Anchor. We can't wait to hear your podcast.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. As always, we're going to talk about week 2, the rest of week 2. We're going to make our predictions just like last week. Last week we did okay. I think I went even. Actually, no, I think I went 9-8 on the win-loss. I think I went 8-9 on the spread. Maybe I'm not too sure about how the spread worked out. You did pretty bad on the on the spread. I think you went 6-10 on the spread. Yeah. But spread's very, very hard to do. So we're gonna start off with our picks. That's the Brady quote. Here we go. We're going to do your matchups first, actually. I want you to do your matchups. So you're going to basically talk about your matchups, and basically...
I won last night.
You did win last night.
I didn't cover the spread.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. I like the Ravens over the Dolphins. I think the Ravens are a good team. I think they had a lot of injuries last year, and those players are all healthy now, and mostly on defense. And with all those players back, that defense is great. I think Lamar played well last week. He showed he can pass the ball, and that's what he's criticized for. And he was pretty capable in the passing last week. And they're playing at home. I just don't think the Dolphins are going to beat them. I like the Browns, even though I hate the Browns overall. I do not like them as a team. I don't think the Jets can beat them. The Jets did not look good against the Ravens last week, and I don't think they're going to beat the Browns. Although I do think it'll be a close game. I didn't have the Browns covering the spread on this one, right? Yeah. I like the Lions. I think they have a better team this year. I like their coach. I like their quarterback. But the Commanders have a very good coach, and their defense appears to be back. Chase Young is back. He was hurt last year. And amazingly, what's his name? The quarterback, the Commanders quarterback, Carson Wentz, played well last week. And who knows? Maybe he's having a revival under the Washington coaching staff. So I'm picking them. I'm picking them to win, even though they're playing at the Lions. The Colts, what happened to them last week? I can't believe they only tied the Texans. That was a very big surprise to me. I thought they'd play better than that. Maybe they're just gelling. You know, they haven't. The chemistry just hasn't kicked in yet for that team, with Matt Ryan being new to them. But why didn't they just hand the ball off to Jonathan Taylor most of the plays? He's a superstar. I would have thought that would have beat the Texans, but it didn't. They wound up tying. But I do think they're going to beat the Jaguars, who I think are one of the poorest teams in the league. I like the Bucs over the Saints, even though the Saints have their number for the last two seasons, both winning all 4 games in the regular season. The only issue, I think Tom Brady is not going to let that happen again. It's just he's going to be too much for them. However, the wide receivers are banged up for the Bucs. Mike Evans has calf injury. Russell Gage a hamstring. Chris Godwin a hamstring. Julio Jones' knee. That's most of their power on the.
I want to buzz in. Chris Godwin has been ruled out for this game.
He's out for the game.
He was questionable throughout the week. He was ruled out today.
Yeah, so that's a factor, but I still think the Bucs, and I'm probably going to pick the Bucs every game this year, just because I'm a weakness for Tom Brady. So, okay, let's see, the Giants against the Panthers. Well, the Panthers coach has lost his last 9 games in a row. So I think if he loses this one, he might be on his way out. So I think he's going to. I think the Giants, they have a new enthusiasm, they've been revived under Brian Daboll. He seems to bring something to those guys to get them fired up. And they played over their heads a little bit, I think, last week against the Titans, who were a playoff team. They were number 1 seed last year going into the playoffs. And I think they do have a good team. How the Giants beat them at home, I'm not quite sure. And they call that gutsy play at the end of the game for the 2-point conversion. And most times you wouldn't make that. There were a couple of linebackers right there. And Saquon Barkley just beat him to the goal line. So that was a gutsy play, and it worked out for them. And the other guy missed the field goal. The Titans field goal kicker could have made a 47-yarder and win it, but he missed it. And I think I like Baker Mayfield, and I'm rooting for him. But I just think the Giants are at home. They're 1-0, and I don't think I picked this year. I thought they would be very poor, but I watched that Giants game, and I do think their coach makes a difference for them. So I'm giving them a chance. I think they're gonna win against the Panthers. I like the Patriots against the Steelers, although I'm a little worried about it. The point spread's only 1. And I don't know. Bill Belichick's very good after losses. He generally wins his games after losses. A little worried about Mac Jones, banged up, but the Steelers are more banged up. The T.J. Watt is out. Najee Harris is hurting. Whether he plays or not remains to be seen. So I think the Patriots squeak it out, even though they're on the road against the Steelers. And Mike Tomlin, he's a good coach, and he generally plays the Patriots tough. So I think it'll be a close game. I'm hoping the Patriots will pull it out. I'm picking them. I think the Rams were embarrassed last week against the Bills, and I think they will stomp the Cardinals. I mean the Falcons at home and cover that spread at 10.5. I think their offense was very sluggish last week. Maybe it was Bills' defense being so good, but I think they're gonna crush the Falcons and cover the spread. San Francisco, Trey Lance doesn't look. I don't think he's the real deal. He may be in a few years. You have to play him in order to find out, right? That's the thing. He never played much in college, so you have to sacrifice some to see whether he can really make it and get the experience he needs to be a elite quarterback. Whether he's got that or not remains to be seen, and I know that San Francisco's questioning it because they re-signed Jimmy G to a 1-year contract. And I think the Seahawks, I was surprised. I watched that game, and Geno Smith, man, he looks reborn. His movement in the pocket and in the backfield, he's very mobile. He's got a rocket arm. He was very accurate. He only missed like 5 passes, 23 out of 28. And he beat the Broncos, who I think are a pretty good team this year. So I think the Seahawks pull us out and win the game at San Francisco. And I think that will be the end of Trey Lance's a starting role if that happens, and Jimmy G will be in there in week 3, and maybe he may come in if they get behind in this game. He may show up in the second game. We'll see. The Bengals and the Cowboys. I couldn't believe how poorly Joe Burrow played last week. Right, 4 interceptions and a fumble, 5 turnovers. Come on, that ruins his stats pretty much for the year in terms of MVP candidacy. Right? He's going to have to pick it up big time. I think he made many mistakes. They beat themselves, actually. But Russell Wilson had a good game. He threw for over 300 yards. And the Seahawks probably had as good or better defense than the Texans have. So I like the Broncos beating the Texans. The Raiders against the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are a team that's got issues, mostly off the field with the Kyler Murray contract and the coaching and the ownership kind of abusing him by saying in his contract that he had to watch 4 hours of film every week. That was a requirement. They ultimately took it out of the contract to try to make him happy. But once you do something like that, I don't think people forget it. They didn't play well against the Chiefs. The Chiefs owned them. And they even though they scored 21 points, the game was it was all Chiefs. So I think the Raiders, while I don't think they're going to have that great a season overall, I think they're going to beat the Cardinals. The Green Bay against Chicago. Green Bay looked pretty bad against the Vikings, but the Vikings are a pretty good team this year, right? They got Justin Jefferson. Kirk Cousins is a good passer. I think Jefferson could, he's right up there in terms of wide receivers, maybe the best receiver in the league. So that was at home, the Vikings, and they beat Green Bay. That's happened before, I think. The Green Bay starts out slow sometimes. So I don't think, and Chicago beat San Francisco, but again, San Francisco had Trey Lance starting. So I like Green Bay to win. I think it will be closer than the point spread there. So on to Buffalo versus the Titans. I think Buffalo is a juggernaut. It looks like they look like they're world beaters so far, but that isn't always the case. Sometimes they look great and then they're not so great. So, but I think, and the Titans are a better team than they showed against the Giants, I think. So I think it will be close. The Bills will win, and I don't think they'll cover. The Vikings against the Eagles. I don't like the Eagles. I've never been an Eagles fan. I don't like their quarterback. I like the Vikings passing to Justin Jefferson. He had a great game last week. Kirk Cousins can be up and down. Several years he started out very poorly. This year he started out good. Maybe that's an omen that he's going to be very good this year. And he's on a 1-year contract, so he's playing for a contract next year. So I like the Vikings to win. Those are my picks.
Very, very interesting indeed. Let's move on to my picks. We'll choose that right now. There's one thing I might need to change. I think there could be a potential change in my picks because I completely forgot about this one stat. I don't know why it crossed my mind, but it did. But you know what? Let's begin. I started off with a fat L in the win-loss column, but not in the entirety of the game though, because I was able to cover the 3.5 spread when it came to the Chiefs versus Chargers game. The Ravens and Dolphins, yes, I understand Tyreek Hill. I understand Tua. I understand everything that's going on with the Dolphins. I just think the Ravens are a better team overall. Duvernay looked really good for the Ravens, had a very nice touchdown. Rashad Bateman had Duvernay had 2 touchdowns. Bateman had a very nice touchdown. I was a little bit surprised with how slow Lamar was looking against the Jets defense. I guess it could have been the pass rush from the Jets. Maybe it could have been the fact that he's playing for a contract. He has to play a little bit safer. The thing I noticed with the Ravens, though, is that Lamar was focusing a lot on passing and not so much on running the football or rushing the football as he was, in prior years. I still think, though, Ravens are a better team. I think their defense is very good. Kyle Fuller is out for the year, I believe, on a torn ACL. It looked very bad. His leg went a weird way. CBS wouldn't even play the replay because apparently how bad it was. I saw it back. It didn't seem too bad. It did seem pretty bad, but it wasn't that bad to not replay it. But yeah, he's out for the year. So that's that. The Jets at Browns. I think they could win this game. I genuinely think they could win. The Browns have Jacoby Brissett. He played okay. The Browns defense played really well, but I think the Jets, yes, I know the Jets lost Mekhi Becton. I'm fully aware of that. They were my number 3 seed in the AFC East. They're the number 4 seed, but I think they could pull out the win here. Because I think Joe Flacco put up over 300 yards against the Ravens defense. I think the running game might be a little bit better. I think the O-line is actually a little bit better than Carolina's. I really love the defense. The defense is going to do numbers on the Browns receivers just because look at the first 2.5 quarters of the Ravens game. The Jets defense was shockingly good. So if they can keep that up, you have Sauce Gardner, you have Bryce Hall, you have, I'm forgetting another cornerback's name, DJ Reed. He's really good. I think the Jets have a really, really solid defense. The question is, though, can they perform? And usually when it comes to the Jets, the answer is no, because they've had a lot of talent but couldn't get the results. But in this game, I think they do get the results because you have Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback. So I'm not too happy on how the Browns might turn out this year, but I think the Jets pull out with a solid win. And they are 5.5-point underdogs. I would take that spread regardless. But let's move on to our next game. The Commanders at the Lions. I love the Lions. The Lions are looking great in the first game. 35 points against who I'm thinking is gonna beat out the NFC least. The Eagles. They went toe-to-toe with the Eagles and actually had a chance to beat them in Week 1. I don't know how many one-score games they lost last year, but they almost beat the Ravens. If it wasn't for a Justin Tucker 66-yard field goal, they would have beaten the Ravens, which that's shocking in and of itself. I believe that was even with a healthy Lamar. I'm not too sure on that. Don't quote me on that, but still, you went toe-to-toe with the Ravens we're talking about. The Lions had a bunch of one-score games that they just couldn't get done. I hope that trend doesn't happen. It seems like it might happen again this year because they did choke against the Eagles in Week 1. I think they actually pull away with this game. They are favored, which is a little bit weird for Lions fans to be favored in a game, but I do think that the Lions will pull out the win here. Colts and Jaguars. This matchup seems eerily familiar to last year. Carson Wentz, anyone remember? Last week of the season, a chance to get the Colts into the playoffs, and they lose. I think this year, Matt Ryan's an upgraded quarterback over Carson Wentz. Michael Pittman, like I said, 1,300 to 1,400 yards this year, close to 10 touchdowns. We're on a great start on that already. Over 100 yards in Week 1. Yes, it was against the Texans, but week 1, week 2, week 1's Texans, week 2's Jaguars. I like it. I like it for Michael Pittman. If he's on your fantasy team, I would start him. He's questionable right now, but I'm hoping, I believe he was actually limited in practice yesterday. I'm hoping he gets healthy for the weekend. I'm really hoping for my own fantasy team he gets healthy for the weekend. I would bet this game. Colts, Jaguars, I like it a lot. I say Colts win with the -4 spread. Bucks Saints. Tom Brady 0-4 in the regular season against the Saints. The only reason they won in the playoffs was because that defense really showed up, picked off basically a crippled Drew Brees at the end of his career. It was the last game of his career. Picked him off 3 times in the divisional game. So I don't like it I don't like the Bucs' chances, right? They're banged up at receiver. That was the one thing that actually caused them to lose the Rams game, was being banged up at receiver. And the one thing that helped them get to the Super Bowl was their health. They were all healthy their Super Bowl year. The following year, they get all banged up. I don't like it. The Saints have still a pretty good defense. They lost Gardner Johnson. Instead, they added Tyrann Mathieu. They still have Cam Jordan. They still have a very, very good defensive 7. So I really like the Saints' chances. Yes, Jameis Winston did not look great in the first game. They were able to eke out a win. He only played well in like the last half of the fourth quarter. That pass rush looks good, though. Their defense is looking really, really good. The offense is the thing I have the question mark with, because Brady, I believe it's 8 picks to, I think, 4 or 6 touchdowns. Ugly. He's played like 2 of his worst career games, 9-0. They lost last year a game 9-0. I think that was the first time Brady's ever got shut out maybe not the first time, but probably 3 times in his career he's gotten shut out. And once the Saints, his first year with the Bucs, they had a game 38-3. Brady had a horrible game. The first game last year between the Saints and the Bucs, he played okay, but at the end, with a chance to win, I believe it was 2 pick sixes. I know it was at least 2 interceptions and 1 pick six. It might have been 2 pick sixes to secure the game for the Saints. I don't like Brady's chances at all. The Saints are his kryptonite, at least this time around with the Bucs. So I will take I'll take the Saints at +2.5 and take the win entirely. What did I say about Baker Mayfield? When he is doubted, pick him every single time. He played great in the fourth quarter. Over 150 passing yards in the fourth quarter, and should have had the win against the Browns. We've talked about that. You can't intentionally spike it. You can't snap the ball, turn around, remember what you were supposed to do, and then spike the ball. That's intentional grounding. It should have been called intentional grounding. I like the Panthers a lot. Yes. The one problem the Panthers had in week 1 against the Browns was Nick Chubb's ability to run the ball. That's the Panthers' sort of weakness on defense, is the ability to allow other teams to run the football. Saquon Barkley had a phenomenal game against the Titans, a shockingly good game, a career game against the Titans. I just think Baker Mayfield would outduel Daniel Jones. I think Danny Dimes, as they call Daniel Jones for some weird reason, he's more of Danny Drops to me. That's my nickname for him. I don't think he'll have a great game. I think he's a below-average quarterback. I'd put him in the bottom probably 28 of quarterbacks. Potentially, yeah, I wouldn't put him at 32 because that's disrespectful. That's disrespectful to him and the rest of the quarterbacks. But I would definitely put him below 25 at least. He's the bottom, third. He's definitely bottom third of quarterbacks. I think the Panthers will have a great game. I think Christian McCaffrey will finally, do well. I think he had like 10 carries for 33 yards or something like that. He didn't have a very, very good game. I think Christian McCaffrey against the Giants, I don't know if Kayvon Thibodeau is supposed to play. I'm going to go with no.
Saying he wants to play and he's feeling much better.
He's feeling much better. So
although the coaching staff may not let him play, though. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Wearing a knee brace.
Yeah, so if he plays, I would be a little bit weary because that Panthers O-line did not look good against Myles Garrett. But we'll see. I'll still take the Panthers to win, though. I think Baker Mayfield's a better quarterback. I think he'll outthrow Daniel Jones or Danny Dimes. Danny Drops is how I'm going to call him. But you know what? The Giants might stick to running the ball because, Saquon had a great game last week, so we will see. Patriots at Steelers. Only reason I'm picking the Patriots this week is because TJ Watt's out. Only reason why. If TJ Watt was in, I would pick the Steelers to win hands down. End of story. Write them off already. Because the Patriots, super simplistic offense. Nothing too surprising. Mac Jones was back spasms, and yesterday he didn't practice because of a stomach illness. He was healthy today for practice, returned to practice. I don't like the Patriots offense. Patriots offense is super simplistic. There's like 2.5 play callers. Belichick with heavy input. Matt Patricia's calling plays. Joe Judge is calling plays. No one's coming out or announced at least as the official play caller. I don't like that, especially for a young quarterback. A horrible play style. I would say play style, but horrible way to, introduce your quarterback into a second year saying, yeah, by the way, you're going to have like 3 play callers. Not super smart for the Patriots to do. So I think the Patriots win, though. I think they could run the ball very well. Their passing game, I hope Mac Jones could, connect with Devontae Parker finally. Hopefully he won't get pass interfered on a touchdown throw, and hopefully he doesn't fall downhill from there. Maybe no shadow rushers. Hopefully everyone could pick up their blocks on the offensive line for the Patriots. So I'm just hoping the Patriots pull out with a 1-point win. This is basically a pick 'em game, The point spread, you can't really choose the point spread because it doesn't make any sense to choose the point spread on either team because it's like literally impossible. But yeah, Patriots -1. I'll take the win. Let's move on to the next game. Rams at Falcons. Allen Robinson was nowhere to be found. They can't run the ball. Cam Akers is in the doghouse right now. I'll still pick them. They're going to crush the Falcons. Yes, Marcus Mariota played very well against the Saints. The Cordell Patterson played very well against the Saints. This is the Rams we're talking about. They just got disrespected. I think the Rams are going to curb stomp the Falcons out of the NFL. Like, we're looking at a potential, if everything goes the way I'm thinking about it, it'll be like a 41-20 game. Like an absolute domination. We're talking about Chiefs versus Cardinals types of domination. Matt Stafford, you know what? He's inconsistent. Last week or week 1 was pretty inconsistent. No, I understand. No, he played poorly, but we're talking about the Bills here. I'm going to get to the Bills in a couple of minutes, but you know what? I'll take the Rams to win this game and curb stomp them. I agree with you with the Seahawks covering the spread, but I don't think they'll take the win. The point spread's +10. I'm not going to choose a lot of huge spreads. Yes, I did choose the Rams. But we're talking about the Rams versus the Falcons. Not a good point spread for the Falcons at all. But I'll take the Seahawks. The Seahawks played very, very well against Russell Wilson, tremendously well. That might be the best game they've played in years. But I think Trey Lance will barely eke out a win. I'm not saying we're talking about 9-point win here. I'm talking about maybe like a 4-point win here. We don't have the score there, but if I had to choose a score, I'd probably put it in a very low-scoring game, maybe 24-20. So something low. Trey Lance doesn't score a lot of points, but I think we'll see a much better game from Trey Lance. The Cowboys versus the Bengals. You're right. Joe Burrow got disrespected against the Steelers. That was just an embarrassment. 5 turnovers and a potential another one. He fumbled it twice. Was able to, I believe, recover the second fumble. But you know what? I like the Bengals. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, the upgraded offensive line. So I'll definitely take the Bengals to win at -8.5. I also agree with you with the Texans. The Texans went toe-to-toe with the Colts here. And Davis Mills was considered by Pro Football Focus and by a lot of other sites the second best rookie quarterback last year. Over Trevor Lawrence, who people say is going to be, this amazing quarterback.
Trevor Lawrence played poorly last year.
No, he did. No, well, we're talking about the Jaguars here, though. We got
poor coaching. I think that was part of it.
Hey, Urban Meyer was out by week 5. Yeah. He barely got any taste of NFL action.
He spent most of his time in a strip joint.
Yeah. It's definitely when you have Urban Meyer, a lot of college coaches I don't feel like have a lot of success in the NFL though. Like that's the weird thing. The greatest college coach, Nick Saban, played what? They coached 2 seasons as a head coach with the Dolphins.
Yeah.
He coached pretty well his first year, and then the second year he kind of had a 7-9 record, something low, and then he was out of there by the next year. He was an okay defensive coordinator for Belichick and the Browns, but I don't think a lot of college coaches do tremendously well in the NFL. But Lovie Smith coached a great game last week. Davis Mills, like I said, the second best rookie quarterback last year, played pretty well against the Colts. But I think the Broncos, I think they won't beat themselves up as badly as they did against the Seahawks. So I'll take them to beat out the Texans. But I have the Texans covering the 10-point spread. Raiders, another team that got disrespected. I have so much hope and faith in Devontae Adams and in Derek Carr. Derek Carr's in my top 10 quarterbacks. In 2 weeks, I'll update my top 10 ranking, and I'll also do another Nate's Notches of the teams that I think are going to do very, very well. Basically, where I put the teams in rank order. But I have a lot of faith in Derek Carr and in the Raiders. I'll choose them to win and cover the 5.5 spread. Yes, the Packers looked horrible against the Vikings. The Vikings play up to the Packers, though. I'm going to put a little bit of faith into the back-to-back MVP, the greatest thrower of the football in NFL history, Aaron Rodgers. He's criticizing his young receivers. He has basically zero patience when it comes to rookie receivers. But I think, we're talking about the Bears here. The Bears, yes, Justin Fields beat Trey Lance in a monsoon. Not even a monsoon. It was flooding. We're talking about flooding. A swimming pool they were playing in last week. But I don't think it's going to be the same for this game. I think, Justin Fields ain't going to be doing great against what people are calling a great Packers defense. I mean, I'm not exactly seeing it, but I could, I'll take it for their word. I think the Packers win and cover the 10-point spread. Let's move on to the Bills and Titans. This is the one that I say I might change because in the past two meetings between the Buffalo Bills and the Tennessee Titans the past 2 years. In 2020, this game was played on October 13th. Tennessee won 42-16. 42-16 we're talking about here. I have it right here. Do I get the box score? Here we go. Tennessee, I believe Derek Carr ran a marathon. Not in the first game. The first game, I don't know what the hell happened. Why? It was just bad play by Josh Allen. Josh Allen, 263 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, and they lost 42-16. And then this past year, October 18th, they played the Titans, won 34-31. And if we take a look at the box score for Buffalo, Josh Allen put up 353 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. When Tennessee, Derrick Henry, ran a marathon, 20 carries for 143 yards and 3 touchdowns. So Derrick Henry, he doesn't look great. So my I forgot what I called it. The hot take of him beating the rushing record. I don't like the look of it because the Giants somehow were able to slow down Derrick Henry. So I don't know if that's going to be exactly perfect. But you know what? I'll stick to my guns. I'll say that the Bills take the win and the Titans do cover the spread though, because I think something weird will happen because the past 2 years something weird has been happening with the Titans beating the Bills in the past 2 meetings. Let's move on to the final one of our picks. The Vikings and the Eagles. I love the Vikings. They're going to win the NFC North. I have them winning like 15 or 13 games. I think the Eagles, this would be one of their probably 4 or 5 losses of the year. I do like the Eagles. I think they played great against the Lions, but I just think the Vikings played tremendously, and I don't know how they're 2-point underdogs. These odds are all brought to you by Fox Bet Sportsbook, but I like the Vikings. 2-point underdogs, I would take that. They're going to take the win. I love the way they look, and I think, you know what? They're going to start off 2-0 for week 2. So what do you think of our picks, Dad? What do you think is going on with...
Can you put them side by side?
I could go between them. I don't have that kind of a slide.
Okay, so let's just look at the ones we disagree on.
We start off week 1 with a loss, or with a difference, because you chose the Chiefs.
That one's over. I won that one.
Right.
Yeah. Next one we agree on.
Just one thing. This my graphics off. The win should be in the Chargers column. I didn't put it there. That's my fault. The next one you have is the Browns winning. I have the Jets winning.
You forgot about Myles Garrett.
No.
The Jets offensive line. The Jets offensive line is a sieve. They're not going to be able to stop him.
I'm expecting 1 or 2 defensive touchdowns.
He's going to wreak havoc.
I'm expecting 1 or 2 defensive touchdowns from the Jets.
Oh, yeah, you think so? I don't know. The Jets' defense was terrible last year.
Hey, no, last year, but
one game they look okay, and you've got them as beating.
I got faith. I got faith.
So I think you're wrong on that one. But
the next one is the Commanders and Lions.
They got the Lions. That could very well happen. I think it's going to be close.
I think that is going to be a close game.
Close game, and the Lions are at home. I read up on this, and a lot of people picking the Commanders because they think that Carson Wentz may be better than they think, and their defense is better. So
could be.
That one's a toss up. I think.
No, it is.
Yeah.
The next one we disagreed on was the Bucks and the Saints.
Yeah, well,
you have the Saints.
I think the issue there with the Bucks is the wide receivers being banged up, but they're going to play. I don't think they're banged up enough so they won't play, except Chris Godwin, who you said is going to be out. But they still have Julio Jones, and they have Evans, right? So, and they have Brait at tight end. He's good. And I think Tom Brady, it's just not going to happen that he loses 5 in a row regular season games to the Saints. I
But
don't
that
think
Saints
it's gonna
defense is like Tom Brady's kryptonite. Cam Jordan is I think the Saints average like 6 sacks or 6 QB hits or
happen.
whatever.
I think
it
it'll
is.
be
6
close.
turnovers.
It could be a very close game. Yeah.
Oh, they will be. The next one we have is the Giants and
What
the
about
Panthers.
the Giants and Panthers?
That's
I think
the next one.
if Thibodeau plays, that could be the difference.
It could be because the
They
Browns
might
just
not
went
let
to
him
town
play.
on the.
He
on-
wants to play, but they may not let him play.
Yeah, they
He's
might
a
ease him back.
rookie. Might give him one more week to recover a little bit more.
The next one we disagree on is the 49ers and the 49ers and the Seahawks.
Yeah. Well, maybe Geno Smith was a flash in the pan in one great game, and he won't play that well going forward. We'll see. He's got to be the difference really there, I think. And Trey Lance, maybe he plays a little better. If he does, then probably you're right. But there's a lot of points there.
No, it is.
Yeah.
The next one we disagree on is I think we might have the same throughout. I keep doing that. Wow. That's it.
Yeah, we agree on all the others.
Oh no, you have the Bears covering. I don't. I have the Packers covering.
Yeah.
That's the only difference one.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's Justin Fields we're talking about here.
I don't think they're going to beat Green Bay and Lambeau Field.
Really?
I don't think they're going to. The Bears.
Oh yeah, no. But what about the covering though? You think they're gonna cover within 10?
I don't. How did I pick it? I can't remember.
You said Bears plus 10, but the Packers are gonna win.
Yeah.
So you think the Bears
it'll be
gonna
close? It'll be close. Yeah. It's not going to be.
I don't think it'll be. You do. You think it'll be within 10?
Okay. So I think maybe it will. I watched the Bears in the preseason. They didn't look so bad. They didn't look so bad, but I don't think Justin Fields is a question mark for sure.
No, he is.
And Aaron Rodgers is not. In the regular season, he's great. So,
Yeah,
but his wide receivers questionable.
That's
so,
the key though.
But
I
I was
think
surprised.
they'll think
I
of
was surprised the defense didn't play better for Green Bay against the Vikings.
I
But
wasn't.
again, Justin Jefferson he ate him alive. So
Justin Jefferson right now is the best receiver in the NFL. We'll see how it is at the end of the year, but as of week 1, it's Justin Jefferson hands down.
most of them we agree on.
Yeah.
A few of them the point spread's different. So
We'll definitely see how the
I hope I do better than I did last week.
that's real hope. We always hope to grow each week.
I'm off to a good start.
You're up to an okay start. I'm off to a better start. So
What do you mean? I'm talking about this week.
this week, you're 1-0 right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, right.
Well, yeah,
I
on
lost
both.
out on the point spread
So, yeah.
just because they gave up that touchdown right at the end.
Yeah,
I would have been all set.
We're each 1-0 in different categories, though. Let's move on to our final topic, and this is rendition 2 of the Harvey Hot Topic. We're starting this up again. Let's start it up right now. Harvey Hot Topic, or Harvey Hot Hen. Sorry, not Harvey Hot Topic. That's for the YouTube Shorts. Harvey Hot Hen. Second edition of the Harvey Hot Hen. We done this last time. We didn't do great. I think we went 2-3 last week. Not great. We got the Jets pick right, and I think what other team did we get right? I picked the Browns Panthers was wrong. 49ers Bears was wrong. Seahawks Broncos, that was wrong. I got all these wrong.
We
But
had another one that was right besides the.
yeah, I'm
remember
completely
what it
blanking
is,
on the other one, but I think I went 2 and 3. But you know what? We're gonna keep it going because this, we're all about improvement here. We're gonna start with this one, like you see right now. The Jets Browns. I like the matchup. I really like the Jets defense. They're a young defense. They got really good players. They drafted 2 really good defensive players. Sauce Gardner. You know what? He's already looking great. They're not targeting him that much. He's doing well. Love his name, Sauce Gardner. Great name. I think they get the win, though. It's a 5.5 spread. I think it's going to be close. Regardless, screw the win or loss. I would just take the points regardless. But I do think the Jets eke out the win. 24-21, Jets beat out the Browns. The next one I have, this one. We talked about this. Why are the Vikings underdogs here? They're great. They played great against Green Bay. People are calling Green Bay, amazing. You thought their defense was spectacular. I didn't see any spectacular from the Packers. I saw spectacular.
Not last week.
No, not last week. I saw spectacular from the Vikings offense. Dalvin Cook, I guarantee you he's going to do pretty well. I don't have the stat in front of me, but I think DeAndre Swift played pretty well for the Lions last week against the Eagles. So why won't Dalvin Cook do well? Dalvin Cook's better than DeAndre Swift, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Irv Smith, Kirk Cousins. I like the Vikings. The Vikings, I think they're going to eke out a very small victory, cover, and win 31-28 over the Eagles. The next one. I like the Patriots without TJ Watt. As long as their offense, stays consistent, they don't absolutely fall off a cliff. Mac Jones throws a pick and then it all goes downhill from there. We've seen that the past 2 games from Mac Jones. The playoff game against the Bills, threw a pass to the left corner for a touchdown. It got picked off by, I believe, Micah Hyde. It all fell downhill after there. And in the Dolphins game, pick early on in the game to the right side to Devontae Parker. Should have been called pass interference. It wasn't. And then it all fell downhill after that. I do think the Patriots rebound for this. We're talking about Bill Belichick against Mitch Trubisky. Yeah. Let's stop there.
That's what I was going to mention. That is definitely against the Steelers on that one.
Yeah, so Najee Harris is banged up. We'll see what his status is. TJ Watt's out. The one worry that we should be afraid of if TJ Watt's out is Minkah Fitzpatrick, the safety. He's one of the best safeties in the NFL. Has a massive, I think he got a big extension this offseason. Could have been last offseason. Minkah Fitzpatrick, he's a ball hawk. So we'll see. I think the Patriots pull out a narrow, low-scoring victory just because the offense is not as innovative as it can be if they actually had a OC. But they don't. I think they eke out a win, 21-17. Patriots beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a game that I was thinking could potentially, the Titans might pull out, but I think this is going to be a very, very close game. Like you see here, 27-24. Titans get the loss, Bills get the win, but the Titans cover the plus 10-point spread. Dalvin Cook, I feel like he might go to town. This might be his breakout game for the year. Potentially 120 yards, a couple touchdowns. As long as you don't depend... Oh, I'm sorry, Derrick Henry. Sorry, King Henry. Yeah. As long as, Ryan Tannehill doesn't throw interceptions, as long as he doesn't play poorly, they'll be fine. Yes, they did lose A.J. Brown. Robert Woods is there, wide receiver 1. That's why I think Derrick Henry needs to go to town against the Bills defense with seems rejuvenated and fully healthy Von Miller, who looks as scary as he did back in 2015 when they absolutely crushed the Panthers, who went 15-1, made the Panthers look embarrassing, made Cam Newton look embarrassing. So I think, Derrick Henry might go out, might do well. But yeah, I still think the Bills get a very, very close win against the Titans. And I believe this is the final one. Is it the final one? Yes, it is. The final one. The Texans and the Broncos. Broncos getting the 24-20 win over the Texans. They went toe-to-toe with the Colts. I think the Colts are a great team. You have them as the number 1 seed in the AFC. So I think the Texans do cover the plus 10 spread. But I just don't think that the Broncos can give this up. I don't think they'll beat themselves up as they did in the previous game against the Seahawks. So I think, they still win. Russell Wilson, 340 yards in week 1. I think he'll have a great game. I was saying, Davis Mills might go toe-to-toe. Who knows? I've seen crazier things. I mean, we've already had a tie in the NFL. Ties rarely happen in the NFL. We saw as many missed field goals and extra points as we have ever seen, especially in week 1. So, you know what? I expect the Texans to keep it close, but they do not escape. I think this could be a comeback score. I think it could be 24 to maybe, 7, and then just they keep clawing back because the Broncos defense, it was a close game against the Seahawks. Couldn't get anything going. So I think
the Broncos beat themselves against the Seahawks.
They did. 0-4 in the red zone, 2 fumbles within the 10-yard line. I don't think that happens again. I just think that the Texans could play pretty well.
I agree.
That's why.
I'm surprised you didn't pick the Rams over the Falcons.
I don't love that matchup. If I loved it, I would put it up here. Yeah. I do not love it. It's a 10.5 spread. Falcons. They might surprise you. I don't know. Marcus Mariota. I don't think they'll win. No, I don't think that the Falcons are going to win. It's just I don't think they might. I think the least likely bet in that is that the Falcons may come close to covering that 10.5 spread. Because the Saints were a 5.5 spread.
No, they scored 26 points last week.
They did. They did. And you know what? Matt Stafford did not look great. But I think, they'll get Allen Robinson involved. Cooper Kupp will have oh my God. Are we looking at potentially a 200-yard game from Cooper Kupp? Maybe. Who knows? But yeah, that's my Harvey hot hand. Jets, Titans, Texans. I can't believe I'm forgetting this. I just did it.
Broncos.
I'm talking about covering.
Oh yeah.
Covering. Texans, Jets, Titans. Why am I forgetting this? Let's go back to it. Who do I have? Jets. That's right. Vikings. Jets, Vikings, Patriots, Titans, Texans. A lot of T's in there. Yeah. Okay. So I think that'll wrap it up here for the Harvey Hour. a lot to. This is going to be an interesting week. We have a lot of potential upsets again. We have some storylines. Brady going to go 0-5 against the Saints. We'll see how the Rams rebound against a very, very weak, I think, Falcons team. They're shooting for the 1 seed, or shooting for the first draft pick. But it's weird though. Every first overall, every team that we said will try to tank for the first pick, the other tied or I think won, which is weird. The Seahawks, they won. The Texans, they tied. And who was the other number? We said 3 teams might be vying for that first pick. I'm forgetting the last team. But
the
Falcons, that's what it was. Falcons did lose. Falcons lost. Okay, so not every team. It was the Falcons, Seahawks, and I just said it. Falcons, Seahawks, and I can't remember. Texans, that's it. Yeah. So we have one tie. We covered the entire. We got a tie, we got a loss, and we have a win. So right now, the Falcons are in first place for that, according to in the race of the 3 teams. But it's gonna be a very, very interesting week. A lot of huge spreads. We're talking 10 and a half.
I know.
Amazingly, these games are some people are calling them blowouts, which I'm shocked by. So I would definitely say on these massive bets, be wary about who you're picking if you are going to choose the favorited team. I think usually it's a safe bet to vote on the plus team if it's
there's always
plus
upsets.
7.
There's always every week there's a few upsets.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and especially when you're talking about betting the point spread, it's plus 10 and a half. No, those are the ones I look for because we're talking about really you're gonna win by a touchdown and a field goal.
Well, they're trying to get people to bet on the games.
Could be, but you know what? And we're fully aware. Everyone's aware. These betting lines may change because today is Friday. Saturday, I'm sure they'll change. Sunday, they will change because, for instance, we did the show on Friday last week, and the point spread was +2 for the Vikings. Sunday morning, I believe it was -1.5 for the Vikings. So these betting lines, these money spreads will change over time. So these are obviously Friday's betting lines for the show that we do every week. So if things change, don't add us. But yeah, otherwise, my name's Nathan Harvey. That's Stephen Harvey. We are the Harvey Hour. We will catch you guys Tuesday for Monday night's recap, Sunday, all of Sunday's recap, and more NFL, NBA, potentially MLB news. But yeah, that's it. My name's Dan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We'll catch you guys Tuesday at 6:30 p.m.
Enjoy the weekend.
Eastern.
Enjoy the football.
Yeah, enjoy football. Have football parties and everything like that.